So coming into this game, we have Smurfburn playing Ishuma against Matrix Disc on a Demiria Fatties deck. Now, the purpose of this Ishuma deck is basically just to deal damage to the enemy hero. And we'll be sort of discussing his options as we go through here. You see, he starts off right away with a Dark Assassin, which is always a risky call against any opponent with Fire School because of that Firebolt happening right away. But luckily, Matrix is not able to follow up with any creatures of his own, so Smurfburn is able to play his Snow Maiden into an empty board, which still gives him tempo of the game and a little bit of pressure on Demiria. Especially having the Snow Maiden out early is really crucial because instead of a 2 damage lane, this is actually a 4 damage lane with the help of Ishuma's passive. In general, it's not really a good idea to start using Ishuma's passive too early because you want to be able to level up to 5 might as fast as possible so you can benefit from these Pearl Priestesses. But we will see how that plays out in this game. And Matrix just starts off by blocking this 2 damage here with his Magic Peddler. And Matrix decides that he really cares about that 2 damage, so he does use his ability in order to deal that damage so his Snow Maiden can attack. And then using a gold pile, he's actually able to play 2 more creatures. So he didn't really have too many issues not leveling to 4 might right there. It would have allowed him to play one of these cards, either the damage boost or the outmaneuver, but instead he decided that with a gold pile, playing these 2 creatures was probably a little bit better. And this turn, yeah, he does level up to 4, so his obvious choice is to outmaneuver something for direct damage, or try to boost it with a Wanazame to deal 1 extra damage, which doesn't actually help him that much in this situation. So he does move, so his Spring Spirit here gets a free lane. He attacks here, and already he's done 6 damage in basically just 3 turns. He was sort of blocked slightly with the Firebolt on the first turn, but other than that, having the 6 damage done pretty early is sort of crucial when you're playing a Demiria. You know that already Demiria has a Forbidden Flame in her hand with this Magic Peddler, so we're actually going to see him try to be a little bit cautious with what he plays. This play here was a little bit more aggressive, trying to get that outmaneuver, and yeah, there is a Forbidden Flame, so all of those cards are now done. He does have a 4 health advantage, and he decides to draw a card. He very easily could have just leveled up to 5 might so he'd be able to play this next turn, but he decides to draw, and this time it pays off getting him a Snow Maiden, so he's actually able to play both of these cards in 1 turn. Now, of course, we just saw that Stalker getting blown up by this Hellfire Bloater dying to ambush, which is sort of an even trade, not too cost effective for Demiria there, but that was the decision made, and we see the Lilin went down to try to block damage, but it was just outmaneuvered, so again, just slowly whittling down. There's another 2 damage, and now he no longer has to worry about playing into Forbidden Flame either. The only board clear that Demiria has left is a Doombringer, which any good player would now assume, after seeing a Wandering Bard, this Demiria has probably grabbed the Doombringer. Of course, this Hellfire Maniac has killed off that Snow Maiden using its special ability. And Matrix decides to again use his ability to kill off a very weak creature, which does allow him to outmaneuver to deal another 4. So already Demiria is down to 8 health, and 8 health is actually very, very low, even with another board clear for Demiria. Like, this is in range of, like, if 2 POWs are on either side of this Wanazame, or 2 POWs boosted up by a weak Mercenaries, they're going to be able to one-shot this Demiria with very little chance of this Demiria being able to stop it. So we'll go ahead and see what Matrix does here to try to prevent all of this damage being done. He decides to move up his Maniac to stop this damage. If he had moved it down, it would have stopped the 4 damage, and then this 3 damage would have gone through. So instead, he moved the Hellfire Maniac up, brought the Lilin down, and then played a Doombringer as a blocker. He also has played his Magic Peddler here to fetch his Might of Nature, although that's not really that important. That's probably just him using one of his extra resources. Smurfburn here does actually draw a POW, which is quite nice for him in this position, because now he is able to deal 4 damage with it this turn if he wants. He could move this Wanazame up and then POW, but he's not actually going to do that. Instead, he does what I think is a very, very interesting play. He does see this Week of the Dead right here, so he knows that next turn this Doombringer is going to wipe everything. And, of course, with the Smurfburn luck, he draws a second POW here. So at this point, if I was seeing this Doombringer on the board, I would not hesitate. I would play my POWs right away, because playing any other creature like this, you know it's just going to die. But that's what he opts to do. I think he sort of figured that moving this out of the way might force him to use that Doombringer, and putting this Shark Guard here means that he's going to at least block 3 damage, which is really not that important, because of course he gets the right event right here. It's the only thing he needed. So this is just basically how Ishuma works, which is you just get really, really lucky, and then there's nothing that your opponent can do. Like, Matrix does the right thing, he clears the board, and then he gets out one of his good creatures and then a Juggernaut, so he has enough damage on the board to really scare anyone. But unfortunately this is Ishuma, and he has 2 POW and a Week of Mercenaries, and he deals the last damage. And this is exactly how the entire Road to Paris tournament went. It was people like Smurfburn and Avkal playing these rush decks and getting extremely lucky in beating the fan favorites and arguably better players like Matrix and Nillycombs and Grobel and everyone else at the tournament. So that just sort of demonstrates how effective these rush decks really are. That's why Ishuma is considered a top tier deck, not only because it's tier 1 all the time, but it wins all of the Swisses. It relies on Mana Storms, preventing your opponents from using the easiest counter to creature decks, which is just having massive AoE spells kill everything that you're putting on the board.